Hello everyone and welcome to another SuncatByte. During this SuncatByte, we are going to be talking about the Queue class. And what is the Queue class? The Queue class in C++ models a first in, first out line, or FIFO, which is basically a line. So, good little graphic to demonstrate that. It's going to be this, right? A bank line. This model is a Queue class, a line, first in. This guy was the front of the line. He was the first one in. He's going to be the first one out. The last one in will be the last one out, right? So he was first, second, third, fourth, and that's the order that they'll exit the line. So if you think back to vectors, somewhat similar to a vector in that we can pop and push to the front and the back. So we'll pop him off the front of the line when he actually gets served, and we'll push off the back, or push onto the back. Okay, so some important things that you need to do when you're working with the Queue class is you have to make a Queue object specifying what type of data is held in line, what type you also have to push, like we just said, push data into the end of the line or the queue, and pop data from the front. And no cuts. Basically, it's just like you would think in a normal line. There's no cuts. You can't just go to the front of the line. So some sample code would be that, oops, wrong one. Something like I don't know why it's going there. There we go. Something like this. So you're going to have to include the Queue library for the Queue class using namespace standard int main. Here, the part where we say you have to make a Queue object, that's what this is, Queue, and specifying the type. So this is the Queue object called number line. Use the Queue keyword, and then you put the type in the caret characters here to specify the type. Here we have a for loop to actually basically create the line. So you push onto the end of the line. So here this is just building the line is basically what's going to happen. When we want to remove people, we pop from the back of the line. Okay, so if you look at, let me get rid of that for now. If you look at the different Queue class functions, there's a number of them that we have. So one is the size, which does what you would assume would imply. What it does is it returns the size of the queue. Empty, it's a check, so it's going to return true if it's actually empty. If there's more than that, it will return false. Front returns the first item that's in the queue, but it doesn't remove it from the queue. Push pushes the item onto the end of the queue, so when you push an item, it adds it to the queue, and pop removes the first or the front item from the queue. So those are going to be all the different things that we use when we're working with the Queue class. All right, so let's look at an example of our C++ bank. So we have the C++ bank queue program here, and what that's basically going to be is it's going to be a program that implements the first diagram that we saw, our first graphic from this lecture. So here we have our function declarations. We're going to do a show menu. We're going to show line info, add to the line, serve first. Okay, Here's our queue objects. Here's some queue objects, and they're all going to be strings. And we're using pointers in this case to point to the line, to point to those queues. Notice that we have to include queue library there and string because we're using strings. So first thing is we just say welcome to C++ bank, and we declare a queue object to use. That guy's going to get passed by reference all the way through. So he's going to get passed by reference there, there, and there. So then we're going to say while choice not equal to 4, and then it's going to say choice equals show menu. So show menu is just going to give us a menu of what the person wants to do. 1, show line info, 2, add person, 3, serve person, or 4, exit. So they're going to select what they want to do, and then we're going to call the appropriate function based on that. If it's 4, we're exiting, so that's why it's not equal to 4. So case 1 is going to be show line info, bank line. So show line info, all that's going to do, it's going to take the line that we have, it's going to find the size, it's going to say if the size was 0, there's no one in line. Otherwise, it's going to give you some information on it. It's going to tell you how many people are in the line and then who's in the front of the line. Pretty cool. If they choose to add to the line, bank line here, it's going to call this guy. And this one's going to say string name, and it's going to say who do we add at the end of the line. So then we basically give them a name, a string, or not the end, at the beginning, wait, yes, at the end of the line, and it's going to push that person to the end of the line. Now, serve first is basically going to pop the person from that's first in line. So it's going to say if it's empty, there's no one in line. We're going to do that check again, just like we did in the show line info function. And then otherwise, now serving whoever's in the front, and then that person gets popped, so they get deleted from the line or removed from the line there. So let's go ahead and build this and debug. So first things first, we're going to want to add a person, so we'll say 2. Who do we add at the end of the line? We'll say Bo. Now, it's looping, right? So we're going to add another person, and we'll say Bob. And let's add one more person, John. So Bo, Bob, and John are in the line. Now let's say, what's my line info? Here it is. Total customers in the line are 3. Bo is at the front of the line, and that's it, right? So when that happened, we called this function here, the show line function. Okay, so now what if we want to serve a person? We're going to say 3. So if 3 is chosen, we're going to come here. It's going to say serve first. Okay, so let's keep in mind that our queue right now has 3 people in it, right? And we'll illustrate that here with Excel. Okay, so our queue, which is called bank line here, bank line right there, has 3 people in it. It has Bo, and it has, who do we do next? Bob, and it has John. Okay, this is the front of the bank line. This is the end. So we have Bo, Bob, and John. So now, when we say serve person 3, it's going to run serve first. So we're going to come to serve first, and it's going to say if rline.empty equal true. Is it empty? It's not. So we're going to hit this else. So we're going to get next, now serving rline.front. Who's at the front of the line? Bo. So we should get now serving Bo. And then rline.pop, it's going to remove Bo from the line. So let's try that. Now serving Bo. There we go. How do we know if it removed Bo? So now Bo is basically gone, right? Now this is the front, that's the end. Well, we know we can do show line info, and there you go. We have 2. Bob's now at the front. And there we go, Bob's at the front. So let's serve Bob. Now we should have one person, right? Bob gets served. Bob's gone. Just to make sure, we'll say show line info. Sure did. John's at the front. John's the only guy left. Let's serve John. Serve person. Now serving John. John's gone. The line's empty. So line info. There's no one standing in line. What if I try to serve someone anyway? No one's in line. Let's have a coffee break. And that's it. Now we want to exit. You hit 4. And we're done. So that's it for our SuncatByte on the Q class. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do let me know. Or jump on office hours. Or even the discussion board forum, or shoot me an email. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.